everybody, it's Murphy Gray Hunter, and yes, it is still, I would say December, what the hell, June 7th, Thursday afternoon. It's about 3:30 in the afternoon. I wanted to go ahead and make another video. I know, I am on a roll today. See what happens when I try to comb my hair just a little bit. I mean, just a little bit. No, literally, I've been out all morning, in the yard doing, things that I do out there. And I had such a great night's sleep. I'm feeling fantastic. This is already number 3. I did this video to show you guys how I made my lunch. And I don't know what the hell, like when I record off of my phone, and if this is your phone, and if you just hold like this, your thing is going to be all, like your video is going to be crazy, right? It's going to be upside down. So you have to literally hold it this way if this is what you're doing. Anyway, I have my big camera that my professional camera that I should be using, but it's just so easy to do it off of my phone because I like to use iMovie, and the computer I have is not an Apple. Anyway, that's just way too long of an explanation. I'm having my infused water. This is my cucumber and mint. I love cucumber water. I know it doesn't sound like, let me take out that gum. I know it doesn't sound like it would be like delicious drinking cucumber water, but it is. But I made a video showing how I made my my bagel. I love everything bagel. And I was showing that, at Trader Joe's they sell this seasoning called the Everything Bagel Seasoning. So if you like toast, or you like English muffins, or if you want to put it on fresh pita chips or baked potatoes, roasted vegetables, whatever you like, because the Everything Bagel Seasonings is a blend of a lot of different seasonings, right? Yes, you can make it yourself, but anyway, if you just don't know how or don't have all those things to make it, they sell it at Trader Joe's, and then you can use it however you want. But or just buy the Everything Bagel, which I do. So anyway, I was showing you guys how I made that, and I buy the Daya vegan cream cheese. It's onions and chives, or I know that's kind of the same thing, but it's something like that. Kind of like a sour cream and onion type of flavor, like that, but it's a vegan one. I went outside and I got some basil and some mint. Basil and mint and dill from my yard, from the garden. I'm just all over the place, right? From the garden, and then chopped that up really good, and then I mixed it with a couple of spoonfuls of the cream cheese. Put that on my bagel, and I put some slices of the English cucumber, and then I topped it with some of my rosemary salt. So I did this whole video showing you guys, and then the video is all jacked up. So I'm like, ugh. Anyway, whatever. So let's talk about rosemary. I did this video for my coven, and then I did it for another group that I'm in, and then I was gonna still do it for my Brujas group, and I'm like, you know what? Let me just do it on YouTube, and then it's just easier to put it on everything. So I picked this little sprig of rosemary yesterday. Smells like, I love rosemary. It smells so good. So I'm just gonna talk to you about a variety of things. Now again, this is just how I feel about it. You are free to go and look up all this information that I'm telling you. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm, not some specialist in whatever. So, just listen at your own risk. I guess. I don't know. Some people can be like, oh my God, you're not a so-so. No, I never claimed to be. Not that I ever have any of that, but I'm just saying I've seen other people fall through that. So, this is rosemary, guys. Now, everybody probably knows what rosemary looks like, but this is fresh rosemary from out in my garden. And so I have it here in my, this is my Book of Shadows, my medical Book of Shadows, because you guys know I don't like taking medication. I like to do home remedies. And so, you know, for the most part. Now, I'm not one of those people like, you're dying, you need to take this medicine. No, give it to me. Give it to me. You know? But, so I have in here all my information on rosemary. I got stuff here, this page, and then this page. Okay. So we're just going to go over my notes and go from there. So I'm going to kind of talk to you about rosemary and how to use rosemary medicinal wise and culinary and magical. I always like to talk about different herbs and roots, grains, minerals, all that stuff that you can use in a variety of ways. So let's just start with the rosemary. Rosemary is, I'm looking at my notes. Rosemary has a lot of different folk names. Now, this is really important, guys, when you are doing, especially in spell work. If you're doing spell work, and depending on how old the spell that you're looking at is, it could say something like 2 pinches of elf leaf. You're like, what the hell is elf leaf? Elf leaf is a folk name for rosemary. So it has, the folk names are compass weed, dew of the sea, elf leaf, polar plant, sea dew. So, you know, those are just some of the folk names that there's a few others. But what I'm saying is that it's just really nice when you are writing in your book of shadows or your herbal book or wherever you write this information down, that you put some of the folk names in there, so that way you can say, well, this is what this is now, okay? Otherwise, you're going to be looking, like when I very first started, I remember I was looking for an herb, and I was going around asking at the magic shops, do you have this? And they're just like, no, I don't have that. So either they did not know what you can use in place of, or know that that was a folk name for this, you know, because then I couldn't find things. And then, you know, as I started progressing and I really started to learn herbs, I'm like, oh, this is a folk name for this. So, and now I want to go to the store, like, do you have any elf leaf? Do you have any, like, sea of the dew or dew of the sea leaf? Do you have any of that? I'm like, could you please leave? So, you know what I mean. So yes, definitely know those. So, I'm sorry, I'm choking. Well, where's my notes? Sorry. I'm not prepared, guys. Ugh. I know, right? I wrote some notes on rosemary here. Just a few. I'm sorry, guys. Totally not prepared. Okay, here we go. Thank the Lord. Okay. All right, so let's talk about rosemary first. You guys already know what it looks like. Now, if you're going to plant rosemary, some people like to plant from the actual seed itself, which is great. But when you plant, if you're going to, you start in a pot. It's nice to start in a pot. Now, you don't have to. You can start straight from the ground. But rosemary, as well as other herbs, really don't like a lot of heavy dirt, you know. But I'm not a professional gardener, so I only know from what I've been doing, you know, for myself. Anyway, so if you're going to grow it in a pot, you want to make sure that you have a pot that has a lot of drainage holes in the bottom. You know, rosemary is one of those plants, just like all herbs, they love a lot of drainage. They don't like to sit in, oh, I gotta say the word, guys, in moist soil, okay? I hate that word. Why do we all hate that word? Anyway, so it doesn't like to sit in that. It's like a baby don't like to sit in a wet pamper, okay? So, anyway, you want to make sure there's a lot of drainage holes, and then go ahead and put your potting soil. Now, if you're going to plant, whether from seeds or an established plant, and you're going to pot it, make sure that the soil that you get is potting soil. Okay, big difference between the soil that you use to put in a pot and the soil that you use to put in the ground. Two different things, all right? Now also, so once you do that and you pot your seeds and all that and you're going to grow, you can put little sticks like this in the pot, you know, so that way it helps your plants to grow, just like when you do with the tomato plant. But with rosemary, you know, they always put a couple of skewers or little sticks, whatever, so as your plant grows, it kind of has something to follow. Otherwise, you got your plants to kind of go, which is okay, you know, do the little dip. One, like, I have two plants, and one is like straight up, and the other one's straight up too, but then you get that one that went like that. Like, hey, that's all right. You can grow like that if you want. So, but I think that's the whole purpose of that. But anyway, if you plant from seeds, you are not going to see actually any growth from that seed for up to 3 months before you see it sprout. But if you want to go ahead and start being able to harvest from your plant, you know, soon, then it's best to buy an established plant. And they sell them all over the place. I bought that huge one for, it was under $20, like 19 something. And so it's best to buy an established plant, I think, you know, if you want to use it right away. And just repot it and, you know, and all that. Now, when you do repot it, when you take your established rosemary plant and you're going to repot it into a bigger pot, because rosemary will grow, you want to make sure that the root ball, you know, that the plant is in, the ball of dirt, just kind of like break it up a little bit, but don't yank it, because if you yank it, you're going to like tear the roots. Just kind of like squish it up a little bit and then make the hole and put it in there. So that way your roots can go ahead and start rooting itself to the new soil. Okay. And then rosemary plant requires like 5 to 6 hours of full sun. Rosemary is a plant that can take a lot of abuse. And really, it's one of those plants that you really have to like work hard to kill it, because it's that's why it's sold as a shrub in a lot of places, because it is a very easy plant to maintain. It needs no maintenance, just sun and water. That's it. You know, and it's one of those plants that can go for a long time without being watered. It could go, you know, every 2 weeks without water. It really does depend on the climate that you live in. Initially, rosemary likes these climates that are like they thrive in cooler climates, but they can thrive also in full sun as long as they're watered, and they have to have sun. And I've seen them do well all over. That's why it's kind of really hard to say, well, they don't like this and they don't like that. You know, they really do well as long as they have sun and water. If you are going to have, if you're going to have a rosemary plant inside your house, make sure you put it in a window where it is going to get a good amount of sun. So let's just say, for example, this is your rosemary plant. What you want to do is every week turn your pot a little bit. Okay, every week just turn it a little bit, because what's going to happen is that your rosemary, as well as any other plants, flowers, whatever, especially plants, they will start turning to where the sun is. They will turn towards the sun. So if you never move your plant, it is going to do this. This is your window. It's going to start hitting that window, because the natural instinct for a flower or plant to do is to go towards the sun. And so what ends up happening is if the window gets too hot, you're going to ruin your plant. If it's too cold, you're going to ruin your plant. So you want to just make sure you turn it once a week. Just turn your plant, okay? That way your plant gets full sun on each side of it, okay? I was thinking of that episode of Friends with Ross, where he goes in to get a fake tan, and he gets like shot in the front of himself like 4 or 5 times, and he never gets the back side of him. So the back side of him is super white and the front side of him is all tanned. I just saw that the other day. It was so funny. Anyway, so you want to make sure you do that. And if you also are having your plant in the inside of the house, it really won't need as much water, because your the climate inside your house is much different from outside. So you want to make sure you stick your finger in there. Make sure that it's not too wet because it doesn't want to sit in wet soil. Then you will start having, root rot. So you want to be very careful with that. But definitely, if you have a deck or if you have a patio, put your rosemary plant outside. It will thrive. It will do so great outside. So that's about as far as growing it, picking it, and it's just super easy. There's so many different types of rosemary plants, and they're all edible, and so you can't do any wrong. Now, don't make the mistake and buy golden rosemary, and then you start seeing it turn kind of a golden color, and you think you're killing it, but that's the color it's supposed to be. So, just kind of know the different types before you go and purchase one. Okay, so what else? And your plant will, rosemary plants can grow up to 6 feet tall. That's huge. I mean, if you take really good care of your plants, they will grow up to 6 feet. And it grows in abundance. So it's a great plant to have, a really, really great plant. I will eventually like to put my big one in the front, in the ground. But I'm not sure yet. It's doing so well where it is. And I'm going to go buy me 2 more rosemary plants and plant those, because I really do use a lot of rosemary. It smells amazing. It helps repel mosquitoes. If you have an area that's heavily populated with deers, you can plant rosemary, because deers do not like rosemary. They eat everything else, but they won't eat the rosemary. Like, why not? It gives you fresh breath. Just like, oh, get away from me. I think deers are so cute. But if they're in my garden eating my shit every day, I'm like, we may not be able to remain friends if y'all keep eating my stuff. So, okay, let's go on. I know I'm a hot mess. It's and my information is like all over the place, so bear with me. Rosemary is rich in vitamin B. It has folic acid. It has vitamin A and vitamin C. As far as minerals, it is rich in calcium. It's rich in potassium, iron, magnesium, and copper. And that's another thing, a lot of people feel that you have to, eat foods that are dairy because they have a lot of calcium in them. But rosemary is one of those that has calcium in it, which is really good for low bone density. We'll talk about that in a little bit as well. Let's see. Let's talk about some of the things that it is good for. And I'm just going to kind of talk about what it's good for, and then I'll just kind of go a little bit more in detail in a minute. The health benefits from rosemary: it helps boost memory, it detoxifies the body, and we're talking about the kidneys and the liver. It helps to improve your mood. It is scientifically proven that it is a mood enhancer. So if you are somewhere where you study at, or your job, and you can have a plant, having fresh rosemary is a very it's great to stimulate your mood, and it makes you happy. It uplifts you. It's also good to rosemary is also good for depression and also for mental clarity and memory. It helps to increase your immunity. So if you have a low immune system, rosemary is really good for this. It also helps protect you from bacterial infections. It promotes hair growth. It is also a cancer prevention. There's so many herbs out there that are really great to help prevent cancer, and rosemary is one of those. It helps to support strong bones. It helps balance body fluids. It's an antiviral. Eye care. It helps with depression. It's a stimulant. It helps to prevent premature aging. It helps to reduce inflammation, reduces pain. It helps stimulate circulation. You can help treat skin conditions. It's good for respiratory health problems. It's an antibacterial. It helps relieve tension. It helps with your digestion, and it also helps with migraines. It is also an anti-stress. And what else? Where are my other notes here? I know it's a lot, right? And you're like, wow, that's a lot of stuff. So let's just talk about a few things here. So let's talk about, okay, so rosemary's in the mint family. And so when you eat a lot of mint or oregano, basil, rosemary, it really is great for your skin. Now, a lot of people say that, because it's highly used in a lot of Italian cooking. And so you look at a lot of older Italian people and their skin is just beautiful. And I really want to believe that it has to do with all of the fresh herbs that they're eating. But I mean, that's just a theory in my head. It's good for antidepressant because, like I said, the smell of fresh rosemary itself is a mood enhancer. Now, when I talk about these particular things that it's good for, I mean you could ingest it in eating it or drinking it as a tea, whether hot or cold tea, or you can buy the rosemary supplements from your health food store, okay? It's a anti-inflammatory. So, okay, for a depressant. Well, we're going to talk about precautions in a minute. It's an anti-inflammatory. So, like, for example, I had a huge spider bite. So I boiled some water, and I took some fresh sprigs, and I threw them in the hot water, and I just let it steep, until it got nice and infused. Then I put in a washcloth, and I let it sit in there for a little bit, and then I wrung it out, and I put it on my spider bite. That helped to relieve the swelling, and it also helped with the pain. And that for sure I can tell you, because I'm allergic, and they get ginormous, and they hurt so bad. And spiders just love to bite me every day, like a vitamin. I get a bite. I'm like, all right. All right, so it's antiviral. Of course, taking the supplements, it's like taking a tonic. If you're going to make a tonic, and you can make a tonic out of rosemary. There's a lot of people who make tonics or tinctures to help themselves, like during flu season, during the winter for cold and flu seasons. If you have allergies, things like that, so you can make tinctures for certain things. So you can make this as a tincture, and that kind of helps with some of these things that I'm talking about. If you either eat or drink rosemary or take the supplement 30 minutes before you eat, it really does help to start digestion. Some people cannot digest your food. It takes 30 minutes for your food to start breaking down. You eat something, you swallow it, and it takes all your gastric juices start coming out and breaking down all that food until it's all broken down, and it sends it to different parts of your body, right? Well, some people cannot digest certain types of food, especially if they have problems with their digestive tract. So, again, this helps with digestion. It is fatigue fighter. And I really do believe that, because think about when you eat a piece of mint gum, you kind of feel like, ooh, kind of perked up, or you drink peppermint tea, or you take a peppermint bath. It always are, because when you're using stuff for your feet, it's always peppermint. It makes them feel good. And same thing with rosemary. It's so fragrant. I totally believe that it really does help to fight fatigue, because not just the benefits that are in it, but it's just the smell alone. It helps with migraines. So with migraines, you can drink it as a tea, or you can steep it in, like, say, a bowl with hot water, and then you put a towel over it. Or you can infuse a towel, like I was saying, and you can apply it to the points where your head hurts. I don't have migraines, and so I cannot say that I've tested that theory out. When I make tea, I steep it. Now, where's my little sprig? Okay. So whether you take this whole thing and just put it in your tea kettle, you can do that. Or you can take some of the leaves off of it and put it into a tea steeper, and then steep that, up to 5 minutes into your cup and drink it that way. And you can add honey, agave, stevia, sugar, whatever, to sweeten it up. Now, they do sell rosemary tea in tea bags that you can purchase. So if you don't want to do that, or you don't have a plant, or you don't want to take the supplement, You can buy the actual tea bags, okay? It also helps with blood flow. So if you are a woman who has problems with your menstrual periods and you have heavy clots, this improves blood flow to help break up those clots, and you just take it regularly. It improves memory. It is an immune system booster. It does help to boost your immune system. Just like some people say, why drink vitamin C when I'm sick to help me? You would have to drink a whole damn gallon of vitamin, orange juice to help you. Vitamin C, you can take a pill, like a supplement every day, or you can take something that's going to help boost your immune system. I do drink a lot of rosemary, and I take the silverine silver drops. I take that about 5 times a day to help boost my immune system. Because the only thing I get sick with is just allergies. I hardly have gotten sick with anything else, thank goodness. But I do have a weak immune system, so I try to keep that up. Because if I go down, oh my God, they all like jump me. Like the way my dogs used to do when I was out there with them. They would step on the back of my shoe and I fall down. They're like, yay, mom's on the floor, wrestle time. And those freaking heavy dogs would jump on top of me. I'm like, get your ass off my head. So yeah, kind of like that. We talked about it's a mood enhancer. Makes you happy. It's a natural diuretic. So rosemary tea or ingestion, drinking, however, helps with losing weight. You can also make a natural mouthwash out of it. So whether you can, again, infuse it in water, let it completely cool down. You can also put some salt in there, like some sea salt in there, and then you just gargle. Our mouths are the dirtiest places on our body. You would think it'd be our ass, but it's not. It's our mouth. But with animals, it's completely different. Their mouths are like the cleanest thing, even though they're like licking their butts, but it is. We have so much bacteria in our mouth. I don't care how much you shampoo your mouth. I don't care how much you brush your teeth or you use mouthwash. It is the dirtiest thing. That's why I just don't get when people are like sticking things in their mouth and, oh, are you kidding me? Don't do that. So anyway, you can make a tincture out of that, like a mouthwash. Infuse it with, infuse the water with your fresh rosemary, and just let it simmer. And I would let it simmer for like about an hour or two until you feel like it's good. And then put your salt in there as well, and then let it completely cool to room temperature. Bottle it up, and then you can use it because it'll last for about a week. And just use it every morning and every night, and just rinse your mouth out. And it helps, especially if you have like canker sores and things like that. It's really good. It's a natural painkiller, and it's good for if you have problems with your respiratory. And it's great if you have coughs. It's really good for that, the tea. And it helps relieve menstrual cramps. Okay? When I have menstrual cramps, I eat a lot of bananas. Well, I eat a lot of bananas all the time anyway, but bananas are really good for that too. Like I said, making a tea is very, very easy. Like I just told you, you can make a tea like that either with your own fresh stuff, or you can go buy them already pre-made. A place that I find them, where I find a lot of my teas that you won't find in your regular stores, are Asian markets. And the Asian markets is where I find everything that I need, and that's where I find my rosemary tea. But because I have a plant, I make my own. And I just go and you don't even use this much. Now, if I'm making a whole kettle, I'll just put this whole thing in there. But a little goes a long way. Now, for your eye care, I could not stress this enough. I would be really careful when it comes to your eyes, because I'm really careful when it comes to my eyes, because you only have one set. If you destroy your optic nerve, you will go blind. I mean, it's crazy how we can make bionic arms, bionic legs. We can make your dick bigger, your ass bigger, fake boobs. We can do all kinds of stuff, but we cannot repair your optic nerve. And there are things that they can do to help it, but not fully repair it. And our eyes are just so, so fragile and delicate. So I would stick to the supplements and the tea if you're trying to do something for eye care. But if you're going to infuse something like do the wash rag type of thing and lay it on top of your eyes for swelling or whatever, or making some kind of concoction for your eyes, I would research it really well. Ask your doctor before doing that, because again, with your eyes, you don't want to fool around with that. Let's see. Sorry, I was just, singing the song that had stuck in my head. Kidney stones. If you have problems with kidney stones, kidney stones is just a cluster of minerals, deposits of minerals that become clusters, and they become so big and painful, and you can't pee them out. So you got to go and get in this little tub, and then they use lasers and break up the clusters, and then you go home and you pee them out. Men are like, oh my God, this hurts so bad. I'm like, try pushing a baby out of your vagina. I'm sorry, what? Yeah, because literally, guys, I know this might be TMI, but a woman's cervix looks like the tip of a man's penis. Yep, it looks exactly like that. When I was working in surgery and we did hysterectomies and we removed everything, and the tip of the cervix looks just like a man's tip of a penis, just kind of the same thing. And so when you are dilating, that is what the nurse is feeling to see how much you've dilated. It's the tip, it's the opening of your cervix that they're going into your vagina to feel the opening of your cervix to feel how big. So you're going from the size of a man's pee-pee hole to 10 centimeters. So if you got to pee a little pebble out, shut up. We've had to push out a whole human. Now, I've never pushed out a human. I've had C-sections. But that's no fun, day at the park either. But I see women that go through, I'm like, holy shit, I'm so glad I had C-sections. Like, I can take some pain, obviously, all the tattoos and stuff, but holy shit. If I use rough toilet paper, I'm like suffering, okay? You want to push a whole person out of where? No. I don't think I'm going to do that. I don't think I want to participate in that. So anyway, if you have kidney stones, it's great for that. I told you, I can't give like educational, serious videos about things because I just don't know how to stop being a fool. Okay, let's see. It talks about treating skin conditions, but I'm not really sure in what that means. I don't know if that means if you have a giant, face demon, like a pimple on your face, where you can soak it and put it on there and that goes away. I don't know if that's what that means. I'm not really sure. But yeah, using rosemary for a cough, you can eat it, you can drink it. It's really good. It helps to loosen the chest, your congestion that you have in your chest, all that phlegm and stuff. It breaks it all up, which is easy for you to, get better. You guys, when y'all have a lot of congestion, stay away from dairy. That makes it worse. Just a little information. Okay, so let's talk about I'm going to talk a little bit about the how to do certain things, okay? So if you're trying to make a bag, a tea, I already told you how to do that. Okay, I'm sorry, I was reading a message. If you're going to make a tea, you can, like I said, put it in a steeper or go buy them. We talked about that. And you can, doesn't have to be hot tea. If you want to make cold tea, you can. You can even make rosemary lemonade. So good. If you have, your significant other has a bald spot, or yourself, you have a bald spot, you can make a hair serum. So you're going to get 10 drops of rosemary essential oil, okay? Whether you make your own or you buy it. 10 drops of rosemary oil, 1 ounce of castor oil, and you're going to mix that up in a little bottle, and you're going to, twice a week, you're going to massage that into the spot where you have a bald spot. And you're going to leave it there for 30 minutes, and then after that you go shampoo it out, okay? So twice a week, and then leave it under for 30 minutes, and then go wash it out. And after that, you should start seeing some growth. If you want to make rosemary water for hair growth, because rosemary water helps your hair to grow, and it makes it thicker. So you want to take some fresh rosemary sprigs, some fresh rosemary sprigs, as many as you feel you need to make. Now, when I make it, I make that big container, and it's about 64 ounces. So I take about 5 or 6 sprigs, right? Now, if you got those big, long ones, you probably don't need as many. And you are going to go ahead and put that into a big pot and start simmering that for a few hours, right? And you're going to need apple cider vinegar and water. So you're going to fill your saucepan with enough water to cover the rosemary, and you're going to simmer it for a few hours. The longer you let it simmer, the stronger it gets, okay? And then you're going to allow it to completely, strain it and allow it to completely cool. Once it's completely cool, go ahead and mix 1 part of raw apple cider vinegar to 9 parts of your rosemary water, okay? So once you got it all mixed up in your jar, go ahead and go wash your hair, wash it, rinse it, condition it, just like you would normally do. And after you've done that and you squeeze all the water out, go ahead and put the water right onto your scalp. Now, before I got my hair cut, I had some split ends. So what I was doing, I was just getting the jar and I was just putting my hair straight in the jar, and I was just letting it sit there for a few minutes, right? You know, and then I would just pour the rest of it all on my scalp, and then just kind of massage it into your scalp all over. Then you're gonna go ahead and squeeze it all out. Don't rinse it, just squeeze it all out. And then just go ahead and towel dry it and style it and dry it, whatever. Now, yes, it's going to smell like vinegar, but as soon as your hair dries, you cannot smell the vinegar anymore. What you do smell is rosemary. It doesn't damage your hair because it has vinegar in it. It's only 1 part vinegar to 9 parts of water. So it's too watered down to do anything else. But it's really good for those 2 particular things. And also, if you have dry scalp, that really helps with your dry scalp. And if you have dandruff, that's another treatment for dandruff. All right. Let's talk about some precautions, okay? Potential side effects of rosemary. Got them all written down. You want to make sure when you are taking any type of prescribed medication, whether it's for heart, high blood pressure, diabetes, antidepressant, whatever it is that you are taking that it is prescribed, you always want to consult with your physician or your pharmacist before you're taking a natural supplement, or if you are ingesting large amount of these particular types of herbs, okay? So that's number 1. If it's not recommended that you use rosemary in children under the age of 18. So even though I'm getting all these benefits from it, I will not be giving this to my daughter, because even though, like when you go get surgery, the anesthesiologist will come and ask you, how tall are you and how much do you weigh? Because then they know how much medication to give you. Not so much with your age. I mean, age is important, but sorry, my leg is itching. But not so much of how old you are, but it has to go by your weight and has to go by your height, especially your weight. Those are important things. But it's not safe for children to take natural supplements, and it's not safe for children to take, and I'm talking about herbal ones, okay? Because there are some really good ones out there that are made for children. Now, unless it's specifically made for children, that's one thing. Or to give them large quantities of things that you're making with natural herbs, okay? So just ask your pediatrician. That's the best way to go. And rosemary should not be taken with people who have high blood pressure, ulcers, Crohn's disease, or colitis, okay? Underactive colitis. Sorry, I was just reading my notes. Okay, so people who have high blood pressure, you're taking a prescribed medication. Now, again, this does not go with your occasional rosemary, bread, or your rosemary tea, or your rosemary spaghetti, or no, that's fine. We're talking, this has to be in extremely large doses, okay? But when you take prescribed medicine, You always have to consult your doctor when you're going to be taking a supplement, a natural supplement, whether it's basil, rosemary, lavender, whatever it is. It could counteract your medication. That's what I'm saying. And you literally have to be eating like pounds and pounds of rosemary in order for it to affect you that way. But just be safe and ask, all right? But people who have Crohn's disease and colitis, you guys that have that problem, y'all are on a very strict diet. You guys know the do's and the don'ts, what you can have and what you can't have, that's going to ruin and cause horrible pain. So, you know, just kind of, if you have that particular problem, health issue, and you are eating tons and tons of rosemary and you're getting sick and you're not sure, it could be that. Now also, the oil, the essential oil is toxic. Do not ingest the oil, okay? Never take the oil orally. There's, you know, some people will put essential oils in their bath, and they get in their bath and their skin is on fire. A lot of essential oils are not made for topical stuff. You have to be really careful when you are going to go buy an essential oil that you can rub on you. There are some that are toxic. So just be very careful when working with essential oils. If you plan on using it for soap or lotions or food, you don't want to put essential oils in anything you eat. You will be killing yourself. Don't do it. Okay. Warning, warning. Okay. Now the herb may affect the blood's ability to clot, and so it could interfere with any type of blood thinning drugs that you're taking. Now, even though that rosemary is good for that particular product for blood thinning, to help thin your blood out, and you're taking a blood thinner, you're like, well, why can't I take both of it? I think that it counteracts it. So you know, it improves blood flow, okay? And so you have to be really careful. Again, when you are taking things like aspirin or any other type of blood thinners, you need to ask your pharmacy or your physician, hey, can I take this rosemary natural supplement and I'm taking this blood thinner every day? They're going to tell you one or the other, okay? So that's just another precaution. Also, rosemary can interfere with the action of your ACE inhibitors in your high blood pressure, and I mean in medications. So you want to, again, ask your physician. But rosemary is generally safe when you're taking it in low dosage, but you have to take extremely large doses before you start seeing any of these symptoms. But if you do take it in large quantities, large doses, you know, like I'm talking about, you can have like vomiting, spasms, pulmonary edema, which is fluid in your lungs. And pregnant women should not take high doses of rosemary, because rosemary, high dosages of rosemary will cause miscarriages. So, you know, just like women should not be ingesting herbal, like fresh herbs, while you're pregnant. Just like you're not supposed to have lunch meat. You know, I know a lot of women do it. Like, nothing happened to me. Well, I'm glad. It's just not a risk that I would personally take if I was growing a baby inside me. So, just be careful with that. Okay? So, now, let's talk about the last part here. You're like, God damn, Murphy. I don't know how to make, well, I do know how to make. I know how to make some videos that are short, but this is a lot of information. Okay. Now, rosemary is it is a masculine herb. So, you know, some people will say, I only work with masculine herbs. I really don't even know. How do you even know? Do you look under the shrub? Is there a skirt you look under? Like, how do you know if it's masculine? Like, who knows the answers? Who wrote these? Who wrote this information? How do you know? Anyway, so it's considered a masculine gender. Its planet is the sun. The element is fire. And the magical powers behind rosemary, you can use it for protection, love, lust, mental powers, mental clarity, exorcisms, purification, and healings, and helping with your sleep. So, for example, if you are having yourself or somebody you love is having horrible nightmares, you can take some fresh rosemary sprigs and you can tie them up and put them above your bed, or you can make a little sachet or a sachet, however you say it, and put it under your pillow to help promote good dreams. You can also use it for protection. You can wrap up some rosemary sprigs with a cinnamon stick. Wrap it up and put it by your front door. And that's also very powerful for protection, because cinnamon and rosemary are still both great for protection. If you don't have frankincense, you can use rosemary in place of that. And I was reading that in this book. Rosemary is generally used as a substitute for frankincense. So no frankincense, you can use rosemary. So rosemary is one of those things that it's really, it's kind of like a universal thing, because it just really powers up anything that you're using it for. It just gives it that extra power. I don't see that you could use rosemary maliciously, maliciously, yeah, or a malicious way. You're like, Murphy, what are you saying to us? Yeah, I've never seen anybody use it, in a hex or a curse. I'm not saying that you can't, but I never have. Although my aunt told me when I was there talking to her about writing stuff for my grandma, she says, you can, because she asked me, do you know how to use rosemary? And I'm like, yeah. And I was telling her all these blah, 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 And then she goes, well, you can use it to have somebody have a miscarriage. I'm like, okay, thanks. I'll just jot that down. And so apparently, if you have somebody that's pregnant and you want them to lose their baby, you give them rosemary. Isn't that terrible? So I guess that way you can use it malicious wise. I'm like, okay, I don't think I'll be needing that, but I'll jot it down. But anyway, so you can use them to stuff your dollies. Like you use Spanish moss, but just I don't have Spanish moss around here that grows like that. But you can use it, especially if you're making a healing doll baby. You can put that in there. Your mojo bags, you can put those in your mojo bags. Your gree bags, if you're making gree-grees and you're making the balls, or whether you're making the balls with clay or with wax, or you're making a gree bag, or you're making a gree vessel, you can put the help me now, rosemary in there. I did a gree video on my brujas. I don't think I made one on here, and just kind of talking about what I know about gree-grees. But anyway, I think that's about all that and there's so many spells. There's so many spells for rosemary. And guys, I keep telling you how much I love this book. The Hoodoo, Herb, Root, and Magic. It is like the Bible, okay? I love this. This has a lot of spells in here. And it has here that it is a powerful guardian, and it gives power to women. Hey. Therefore, is used by many women to ward off evil in the home, bring good luck to family members for this purpose. And also, some of the rosemary plants, they bloom a blue or purple flower. Those are completely edible. I have never eaten one, but if mine blooms those, I'm going to try them. I'm like, girls, I'm going to call my children, girls, Mama's about to eat this plant, so in case y'all don't hear from me by tomorrow, y'all might want to come and check on me and eat a poisonous plant. But no, they're completely edible, and there's different recipes for you, just like the squash flowers. Squash flowers are so delicious. Sorry, I was like, Okay, but it shows here that you can use it. There's a spell here to use rosemary for faithfulness in a marriage, to bring good dreams, a simple, peaceful home incense, cleansing and beautifying baths. Oh, okay, that's all that it has for this. But like in my other herbal book, it has different ways. Here in this book, it talks about magical uses here. You can use it for a powerful cleansing, you know, because I've made, I don't know if I showed y'all guys, I do so many different, like with my coven, and then of course with my social media pages and my Brujas page, I'm always doing different videos on different ones, so I'm not really sure if I've done it on this one, but I made like a sage bundle, but I use rosemary instead. And so it's just the same thing. You get the long sprigs, and then you just get them all together, and then you tie it all up, and you can burn it just like you do a smudge sage stick to smudge. You can do the same thing with rosemary, and you can use it the same way to do cleansings and to purify. So and it smokes really, really well. Or you can take the actual leaves themselves and put them on a charcoal disc, and it'll smoke really well. So just keep that in mind. It's also good for to get rid of negativity. Also, if you're taking a cleansing bath and you have some Epsom salt, you can put that in there. And all you have is rosemary. Go get some from outside and throw it into your bath. Either put it in a cheesecloth or a nylon. If you don't have a cheesecloth, who has not cheesecloth laying around? Well, then again, who has nylons around? But you know, like stockings or tights, whatever. Cut a piece of that shit off. Throw this in there and tie a knot in and throw it in there. Like a big bath. Or if you just want to leave it in there like this, tie it up and leave it in your bath, you can. It's just, I hate having to pick all this stuff up, and then I clog the tub up, and then here I am having to clog it, like on top of all the other shit I have to do. So that's why I'm like, look, we're not going to do this. But you can definitely do that. You can tie it into put all that into like some type of cloth or bag or whatever, and tie it underneath your water, the shower head. If you're going to take a shower and you want that over you, or in your bath, just so it can just hit it as it's filling your tub. However you choose to do it. You can make an Epsom salt with ground up rosemary. So I mean, there's so many things that you can do with it. Just get super creative, you know. You can lay it under your bed, and it protects the sleeper from any type of harm, which is nightmares or anything like that. Rosemary is hung on the porch and the doorsteps to keep thieves from your house. And it's also nice to keep it outside your front door and back. I had a phone call and it turned off. But anyway, there's so many different ways that you can use it. And of course, culinary. You guys saw my rosemary salt that I made. You can use fresh rosemary in so many ways in cooking. So with that being said, I'm going to go. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. And make sure you consult everything with your doctor before you take it. You can look at your GNC stores, natural food stores, Amazon, and get the rosemary capsules, what am I thinking? The supplements, and they're really, really cheap on Amazon. They're like $6 or so. But again, if you take prescribed medicine, any type of prescribed medicine, ask your doctor or your pharmacist, and just really do your research before you take it if you have any health issues or concerns. All right, guys, as always, love y'all and blessed be. Bye.